What's up, y'all? It's episode 3, Both Sides of the Barricade. Why'd I name it that? Well, because I've been in the audience, and I've been on stage, and I've been in the barricade, believe it or not. That goes back to my Switchfoot concert where I snuck a camera in because I was on the list. Then they asked for my press pass, and I told them it got torn off in the audience. I made up a story to get in the pit. I was 17 when I did that. I don't recommend people, try it today. There's really no way to try it today. So yeah, both sides of the barricade is the audience and the stage. Where we left off last time was me leaving California, heading back east. I went through North Carolina, drop off some stuff, see some friends, saw family, hung around for a few months actually in North Carolina, try to figure out the next move. Then I went back to Florida, saw more family, and ended up moving to Orlando actually, and living near Valencia Community College, which was a satellite campus for University of Central Florida in Orlando. And I had an idea to go back to school. This was circa 2004, 5, starting to get into 5 actually. And, yeah, I spent almost 4 years out in California working with Brian, and came back east. I got an apartment in Orlando. A friend of mine from college, shout out to Mr. Sean Garrity. We had a place, like I said, near Valencia, and I was taking a couple courses, computer courses, macroeconomics, microeconomics, a bunch of bullcrap, really. Except for the computer courses. I really liked the Excel course because it helped me understand what was happening, with spreadsheets and all that world that I kind of missed because I was a little older. So yeah, I went back to school in Orlando, and it was pretty cool because I didn't know that I was going to get back into music or what was going to happen if I was getting back into music. I really wasn't sure. So I got a call one day. My same friend at the bus company called me and said, "Hey, will you come stage manage for Angie Stone?" I was like, okay, nice. So I went out there, started out as stage manager, and I can't remember how long from when I started to when I started tour managing, but weeks to months, maybe less. And Angie asked me to be her tour manager, and I was like, well, I'll gladly do it. I mean, I've got some experience behind me, and I traveled with Brian, traveled with Susanna Baca. I've got a few years of the road. I get it. But Angie was a whole nother beast. I mean, it was international, and I had never really left the country with those two artists prior. So when I agreed to do this, I didn't know that we were going to be going overseas anytime soon. And I was still in school. I was still taking courses. And we were in South Korea, Seoul to be exact. This is back when I was using a BlackBerry and a Vonage soft phone, which allowed me to call the States with a Wi-Fi connection. So I remember in the Hyatt Regency in Seoul, Korea, I was using Wi-Fi. It was like 20-something bucks a day or something. But for two reasons, I was making calls, advancing shows. People were able to leave me messages. It was still my same phone number. And BlackBerry, not too long after that, you were able to hook up voice over IP anyhow through a Wi-Fi. So I didn't have that Vonage soft phone for long. Well, the story with school goes, I was turning in a paper, and I guess the 13-hour time difference, that paper got in late, and it dropped my grade a lot. And I just realized there was no way I was going to do school and travel in music, especially overseas. What was I thinking? I don't know. I thought I could do something that I knew I shouldn't have done. In hindsight, we've done that a lot. All of us have. So now I'm in Korea with Angie. I actually went to the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, right there, South Korea, North Korea. I stepped foot into North Korea. That's pretty crazy. I got video of all that and some pictures and stuff like that somewhere, and it's all part of the experience, right? The video was pretty crazy because I was videotaping, and there was a guy up in a, like window in the North Korean side with binoculars. He was just checking us out. So let's see. That was the Korea trip with Angie. We did so much overseas stuff. Indonesia. We spent a very, very little time in Jakarta. I think a little over a day. She was opening for James Brown. Actually, it wasn't opening. It was the Java Jazz Festival, and the way they ran it is each artist was like its own concert venue, except in the same venue. So they cleared the house and brought in new people for a new ticket. I think Eric Benet, Angie, and James Brown. We were fortunate to do some shows with James. But that time in Jakarta, I had a friend in Florida whose sister lived in Jakarta. And anytime you can get somebody local to show you around, take you around, you're missing a lot already just because you're not from there and you've got other things to do. But I knew something, about having that local connection. I really needed to take advantage of it. So after the show, I'm pretty sure I spent 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5. I don't know. I got back late. Out partying in Jakarta with a friend's sister and her husband. And they showed me the place. I went to 3 or 4 different nightclubs. I had, all the food and drinks you can imagine. And the exchange rate then, that was circa 2004-05. The exchange rate was maybe, I don't know the conversion exactly, but I'll tell you this. I remember spending like 36 American dollars all night long at multiple different spots. So that in itself, made me want to go back to Jakarta. It's probably not the same as it used to be. Places change. The world's kind of changed. So the other shows that I remember with Angie were like being in Europe, being at the Amsterdam Heineken Music Hall in Amsterdam, packing that place out, being at the Blue Note in Tokyo and throughout Japan. Actually, we did a Blue Note tour one time, Osaka, Nagoya, and Tokyo. Maybe there was one more in there. But anyhow, it was the first time riding a bullet train. That was so cool, going past Mount Fuji and seeing how big that thing is when you're on the train doing 180 miles an hour. And it takes you 20 minutes to pass a mountain. Let's see, after Japan, we did some stuff in the Caribbean. Angie and I actually flew on this chartered plane that MTV had chartered. It was an old Trans World Atlantic, an old TWA plane, and we were going down to the Caribbean, to Trinidad and Tobago, for the MTV Tempo launch. Tempo was the Caribbean version of MTV. At least that's how it was described to us. But yeah, the concert was this big bash in Nevis, St. Kitts. Did I say Trinidad Tobago? That was another time. It was actually when Angie opened the Trinidad Tobago Jazz Festival, and I remember Greg Fillinganes was playing keys. He was part of the house band. Terry Lynn Carrington was on drums. But yeah, that was Trinidad Tobago. The Nevis St. Kitts was the MTV Tempo launch. You see, you get these places confused. All the stories, they kind of jumble together, especially when you try to recall them. So Nevis, the Nevis St. Kitts, that was a fun story, as I remember it. And, we were on 2 different islands, right? So you had the band, which was on St. Kitts, the Marriott, I think it was a casino. And then you had Angie and I were booked, as manager, tour manager, whatever you want to call it, booked on Nevis in like these villas. And it was rumored that Oprah had stayed in one of those villas at one time. At the current time, Wyclef was staying next door. And, Angie was just not, I guess, feeling it. And after the first night, she wanted to go back to St. Kitts. So chartered a boat, got her in the Marriott, got a little boat back. It's a little speedboat, just me. It was nighttime by this time after checking her in, and I cruised across the Caribbean from St. Kitts to Nevis. It's just me and this guy driving a boat. I'm staring up at the stars, looking at these rock fixtures. So yeah, thanks, Angie, for leaving me at the villa by myself. I was hanging out. I mean, it was a 3 or 4 bedroom villa, a pool. There was a tub outside. It was just a cool experience to have it to yourself. Not that I wasn't, willing to share it, as it was, capable for 4 people to use, but it's the way things go sometimes. Another Caribbean show with Angie was the Bermuda Jazz Festival. That was awesome. I love Bermuda. Golly, I love that place. I will go back. I've been there twice. Patti LaBelle was on that show with Angie. I think Jeff Lorber. It was a cool show. Alex Bugnon, I think, was on that show. And the stage was neat because it was erected kind of in the water, like on a dock in Bermuda. The water there is absolutely beautiful. The pink sand that they're known for is from the coral that the water brings in with it. I stayed at the Fairmont Princess the first time with Angie, and then the other Fairmont Royal Grand, I may be getting them confused. One was in town, one was on a golf course. But I've stayed at both of them in Bermuda. They're beautiful. I usually don't, recommend for people to go somewhere, but I would say go to Bermuda, check it out. It's a beautiful, beautiful island. All right, so let's see. This was working with Angie Stone as a tour manager, and basically you've got band, crew. We had lights, sometimes definitely front of house, monitor, bass drum, keys, guitar, sometimes 2 keys because we'd have an organ, background singers. So you can imagine we'd roll 15 people easy, sometimes as small as 10. And as a tour manager, you're handling all those logistics, the flights, you book them, whether you use a travel agent or not. Hotels, you book them again, whether you use a travel agent or not. And these things are so fun to keep juggling around. I can't really give you an idea of how to do it until you do it. But you run into so many problems that, you start to work your way around when they say, oh, we don't have any rooms for you, or rooms ready, and you can't check in till 3, and then you just ask them, well, were you sold out last night? It's a good question to see if they're bluffing you or if they just have the rooms blocked for someone else and they don't want to unblock the rooms. So yeah, those were good tour managing days. I love those days working with Angie, but after 3 or 4 years, you start to realize, all right, now what do I want to do? I'm getting antsy. It's 2008. I had begun to look at, doing a local job in Orlando. I had begun to start examining my options to stay around Orlando, to work for maybe a corporation, to live, a little more of a settled life after traveling from 99 to 2008. I was examining yet again at life. What do I do at this moment? And, I really started to think about, do I even stay in the music industry? Do I go work as a manager for, anything? Management really it's a sucky job if you think about it, because you're being paid to fix something that you have no control over. And when I say control over, you're not the CEO, you're not the president, you're not the artist, you're not making the decisions. So managers can really only do what they can until they can't do anymore, and then they think about their next move. Hopefully it's not in management. But yeah, sometimes we do jump into new avenues in life that we thought were a good idea from, past experiences we had in life. And I say that as a tour manager, I thought that I could go manage other style productions in music and events. And yeah, you know what? I'll save that till the next one. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging with me. This has been episode 3. Peace.